Hi, it's Therese and it's time to Gimme 5 with Penny Black. I have 5 same but different cards, and the focus today is 1 die, 5 cards. And here's the die. It's called Do Not Open, and it's kind of a layering die, and there's heaps that you can do with this die. So I thought it'd be good just to kind of mix it up and make 5 Christmas cards today, because we're coming up to Christmas and we need to get these cards made, and I thought it'd be fun just to push myself and see what kind of designs I can use this die for. Alright, so I am starting by die cutting, and it's in some black cardstock, and this is the Santa's sleigh. Now what I showed you before is I've actually used some double-sided tape. It's a paper, and I've just cut the same size as the die before I ran it through my machine. So it basically made my die cut cardstock into a sticker, and then I stuck that on some white fun foam. So this is the die, and this I'm going to be making a shaker card. So I've used 2 layers of the die, ran it through the machine with some hot pink cardstock, add some acetate for the window, some fun foam around the edges, and then some fun shaker pops. I added a back of some glitter, and it's a bright lime green glitter cardstock, and then to finish it off I've re-die cut the large what do you call it large die tag from the Do Not Open set, and added a back because I thought this would make a really great tree ornament, and I have the perfect friend I'm going to give this to. I've added a sentiment from Believe, and now I've just popped a little hole in the top of the card, and then I can just thread my twine through. I just use some plain black twine, and that way when they get the card they can untie it off the actual front of the card and hang it on the tree or wherever they want. So what I did then was actually die cut a second Santa sleigh, and use some matte medium to adhere that directly below on the card front. And that way, once the little decorative piece is gone, or the shaker well has gone, it's still got something on the front of the card to show when it's sitting on the shelf. How pretty is that? My second card today is very clean and simple. I've die cut the plain square element out of the Do Not Open set of dies, stamped a sentiment. This is a really beautiful sentiment, and it's from the set called Sending Wishes, which is one of the newer stamp sets. And then I've used some hot pink glitter cardstock. Can you see a theme happening here? It's glittery and it's pink or lime green today. Anyway, I've got some hot pink glitter cardstock, popped it up on some fun foam. I did remember to add some double-sided adhesive paper behind that before I set it down, but I also used the fun foam that I used already had adhesive on the back of it, and that just made it one step easier, I should say. I've added some fun foam behind my little square panel, and that's my very clean. So this is probably the simplest card that I made today. Although it did take a little bit of fiddling around to poke out all those bits of the die cut there with the fun foam on it. But it was worth it. It's a pretty snowflake, that one. It's from a set of 3 snowflakes. There's 3 different kinds. They're all really beautiful. My next card, I created a little window using 2 of the die cuts. So it's the square one and also the scalloped edge one, and I've die cut this pretty little village scene, added it to some pink glitter cardstock, just using some liquid adhesive. My sentiment is from the Holiday Snippets stamp set, and just stamped that with some black ink. I'll cover the front of a little square card. It's I think it's 10.5 by 10.5 centimeters, and covered that with some lime green cardstock, and then I can just assemble my little scene. I did die cut the scene out of some green cardstock as well, just because I wanted to make this little tree here green. And this I thought was the easiest way. I could have coloured it with a Copic marker, but I really didn't think of that till afterwards. And this way I knew that it was going to be the same colour as the green in the background. I've added some fun foam to pop up my little square window, and some tape, and just some score tape on the back of the fun foam there to pop up the sentiment, and finally a silver sprinkle on the top of the tree. I did add some hot pink and silver twine across the top of the card. My next card, I've also added some adhesive tape behind the black cardstock, run through the do not open portion of the die. And now this is a sticker, so I have actually die cut the sentiment again from some white fun foam, added that to the top. Now I have, this is the pink glitter cardstock, and what I'm doing here is actually cutting some really thin strips of glitter. I'm not being too fussy. I didn't bother making them exactly the same. Some are a little bit wider than others, but I did add some adhesive behind this before I cut, so now they're all stickers. I've got a square of green cardstock, and I'm just going to add my little pink glittery stripes across the front, and I'm just mixing up the wider and the narrower lines on there. And what I do is actually cut some of the ends off and use them along the edges rather than have to cut all those lines separately. I'm adding this panel to the front of a side fold square card, and then I can just use some matte medium to adhere my sentiment. Now I did choose to use the matte medium because it is going to be adhered onto the glitter cardstock, and I just know this will give me a nice strong hold. And once that's set aside to dry, I did add a twine bow, a black one, to the left side of the card. We're getting there. They're all fairly clean and simple cards today. So I've die cut this time the scallop square, adding a sentiment. This is from Gather Around. This is probably my favourite sentiment for Christmas. It's such a pretty font. I've grabbed one of the trees. This is a new set as well, which is called Peaceful Winter. Has some beautiful scenery within it, and I've just stamped that with it's one of the archival inks. It's the Vivid Chartreuse, and I used my Misty so I could stamp it a couple of times. Covered my card front with the hot pink cardstock and added some fun foam and some score tape to the back of my panel. And then as a final touch, I did decide to decorate my Christmas by adding some sprinkles. And it's a mixture of pale and bright pink, and a couple of different sizes as well. And I'm just using some matte medium to hold those in place, and I really like the way that this one turned out. I think it's really pretty. So that's my finished cards for today. Thanks for watching. Remember, there are lots of ways you can connect with Penny Black, so don't forget to like today's video and subscribe to the Penny Black YouTube channel. Visit Penny Black on Facebook and Instagram, and check out their blog and website. I've linked everything below, and I've also linked my blog post with all of the supplies that I've used. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Gimme 5, same but different card series with Penny Black, and I look forward to seeing you here next time. Bye.